Video 143. July 2, 2016. Mythi, G.Adamsky 1891–1965 was said to be in open contact with spacemen. He was also said to be delivering messages to world leaders from the spacemen. His space contact flew in an older bluish-purple spaceship and was photographed and filmed with their permission. I'm very surprised there isn't something in the PDF about him. Any feedback on him? Mikhail, I cannot say nothing about that person. But according to photos he allegedly made of the spacecraft that CB showed me, I can say that they do not look like ships known for the time, seem rather something produced to be filmed. If there were personal meetings, I do not have these records because they were not monitored at that time. Hi Mythi, is there any relation between each shaped vegetable or fruit similar to each organ? Orange equals breast, walnut equals brain, tomato cut in half equals heart, avocado cut in half equals uterus, slice of carrot equals iris, bean equals kidney, sliced mushroom equals ear, sweet potato equals pancreas, ginger equals stomach, cauliflower cut in half equals lungs, and so on. Does each matching vegetable or fruit mean it's good for that organ? There is no such relationship, Helena. The organ of mammals generally follow the same patterned shapes, whether herbivores or carnivores. Coincidentally, some fruits or vegetables resemble certain organs, but are simple anatomical similarities, any indication that they may specifically serve each of these matching formats. Mythi, would you mind sharing with us some details of your final incarnation before becoming level 1? What was your profession then? Family? Hobbies? How similar to our planet's conditions was your planet at the time? It intrigues me to know how your life and planet was when you were at the same early development level than us. I hope you can share many details. See Jose, that was a long time, but I have consulted the databases of our system. When I was a small beginner, yet in our history is different from yours to have been a colony, with very little miscegenation of ethnic groups. We never had borders and our cities and towns spread across the planet. We had problems of industrial pollution that were difficult to solve with the technology we had available at the time. But we tried to limit new developments for some time to try to maintain a reasonable level of quality of life for all regions. The big difference is that we did not use oil as a fuel, always use technologies developed by our engineers of the time, all based on the use of hydrogen. We had electronic devices as you have today, music and regional festivals were common. When we moved to the level 1, I did not exist. My first incarnation was on level 2 when I came to exist as quantum unit generated by my mother and father at the time. And of them I inherited the genome and the DNA with all the information they had already raised. That's what happens when a society is growing and there are not many beings of that race waiting in the 4th dimension an opportunity to reincarnate. My ancestors' relatives of the time of the 0 level of change to the level 1 were farmers, and were happy at what they did and had 3 children who continued our lineage. Mythi, do peaceful civilizations have nightmares if they no longer have fear within them? Does your mind generate these scenarios if you've found inner peace? The higher the level of understanding gained, the more the unknown becomes known. The lower the fears that may cause nightmares of any kind. The more you integrate with himself, the greater the peace of mind that guides your inner feelings. Mythi, do immortality exist in third-dimensional physical body elsewhere in the universe like the Turritopsis jellyfish? They can grow themselves to be young again and do its life cycle repeatedly that makes this creature immortality. Does anyone alien races tried to copy the immortal-like being of this jellyfish? And applied to humanoid being and how this creature do this mechanism? J. Immortality is relative. I can keep my body healthy for 1,000 years. Or more if I so desired because our technology allows it. But see, the civilization which you and I belong is constantly changing, changes and improvements are happening in the genomes through the centuries. Imagine a Neanderthal had developed a way to be immortal, as he would be living in today's society with the appearance it had at that time. This is a grotesque example, but imagine that with much less than that you will feel anachronistic. After a great life period in your current body, there are beings in space that behave like these jellyfish, but are beings with no conscience and just continue to do its function for the rest of times. When you are in the fourth dimension will realize that the passing periods in the third are very small in the context of your existence, like a school day is in the context of a whole year of school activity. Do not worry about formulas to extend your day of school, try to make good use of the class out instead of it. Mythi. For societies that use teleporter, do they use it all the time? To go to the places and exchange goods, as you do on starships? I mean every place can have one? Or are there some restrictions to use it for some reason? Muniz. Teleporters are the fastest means and ecological for the movement of goods and people. In societies a little more advanced than you, if you need to go shopping or to your workplace you use a teleporter near your residence, do not need to drive. Do not waste time and does not pollute the environment. You will use your personal vehicle only to go to places where they are not installed teleporters. Countryside or distant shores. Can you imagine you order a pizza and a delivery of a canteen in Rome knock on your door minutes later in Alaska? Mythi. Is there life on any or all of these planets, and if so who? Can you say anything about them? http://www.science.eco.com/epic_article/epic_news_article/news_for_m_in_the_score_article/epic_the_score_goldilocs_in_the_area Mikhail, all the planets are in the areas referred to you as Goldilocks zone has life and own nature, and are subject to colonization. The star that you guys call Epic 20136765 has 5 planets, and 2 are colonized by humanoid civilizations of the same race and are at level 2. Its a race originate from Krugs that you all already know, they were also here. Very nice people. Mythi. In Video 24 when talking about the German expedition in 1947, you said they were invited to stay with the condition that they could never return. And 48 men were adopted by Pleiadians. Are there other scenarios where Earthlings were invited to stay with aliens? If so, can you tell who and why? See Abraham. This kind of thing has happened before, and may have happened thousands of different occasions during the life of the planet. These events were not monitored until then. The colony was only a reformatory, where many races interacted with their seeded. This case specifically happened in Antarctica involving personnel of the base itself. For that reason was registered in the period of the proceedings. Mythi. 1. Was it a fake alien warning message live on TV in UK 1977? We come to warn you about your race and your planet. 2. The WOW signal recorded in 1977 by SETI researcher Drive Jerry Emin. Was it an alien civilization attempting to contact Earth? Who? Thank you very much. http://youtube.be/kp8_jtunbm8. No, Ricardo, there was no alien transmission on your TV system. You can be quite sure that it was an interference created by someone who wanted to create some situation or a simple joke. And what your SETI does is totally staged because your governments know aliens there are many decades, and this kind of initiative is neither relevant and possibly outrageous to any more informed citizen and conceptually intelligent. Dear Mythi, do you know of a humanoid race, which has glowing signs on their skin, back, legs, face? If yes, who are these people and what is the purpose of those signs? Also, can any person there get one, as we can have a tattoo here on Earth? Or some special people can get them only? Thank you. Yes, Tanya, there are many hundreds of races, humanoids, reportoids, and insectoid, using draw-with techniques that resemble tattoos for body and face. It is a kind of art inherent in those cultures. If I have some data to base me, I can try to identify any race specifically. The reason of tattoos is only aesthetic. An adornment complement for races where all are very similar among themselves. Mythi, what were your theories on what exactly is the agreement with China and Russia? What is their interesting technology? Is this why they have the best cards? How do Russia and China show their claws? D. There is no unilateral agreement with Russia and China. What exists is passing defense counter technologies to neutralize those developed through re-engineering material that your elites misappropriated. Meetings made in Patagonia and Antarctica defined with some of your leaders to return all the alien material, and its return directed to Antarctica. Since the time of your Second World War, many leaders were called to meetings with Pleiadians agents in Patagonia, but your elites have always chosen the paths they considered most appropriate to try to get technology that could make them a strong and powerful opposition to confront and expel aliens from the planet. Joining your elites with reptilians was a desperate attempt to drum technology for this purpose. But the reptilians not volunteer to this role because they have liabilities with the Community Galactica, which has no intention of breaking. All that the reptilians did in fact was to give some tips on how to make certain re-engineering in the pieces and parts that were already in the hands of elites from old excavations and spacecraft and probes that crashed on the planet. For this reason there were attempts to overthrow the Epsilon Buddhist spacecraft named for EEwillFl in the south of the Atlantic Ocean, because it is an operational spacecraft and functioning normally to be studied. These attempts have been constantly frustrated since 1970. The Russia and China understood that these provocations no longer makes sense, and is opposed to fighting to expel the aliens who helped civilization to get here, and this, combined with being located in an area that will suffer slightly with the changes planned for the planet, this made them become a great opposition to your current elites, who try in vain to continue controlling the destiny of all mankind. Mythi, when they are being implemented the necessary measures for relocations of communities in a new context of the planet, as the locals will be chosen, as a third of non-submerged lands belong to the British royal family, and another third belong to other factions of the elites and its large corporations. as the CG will coordinate this. See friends, the concept of property will be fully revised. The property is of those who use it for the good of the balance of a planet resources. Registration papers will not exist as a justification for simple possession. The lands of the planet need to be used for the good of the community as a whole and not for the display of property. The right of the elderly of your elites and royalties will be the same as any other elderly remnants in communities. In a world where the well-being of one is the well-being of all, wealth and money will have no more sense because there will not be a banking system handled by concentrating and monopolizing elite. There will be an open market regime where the values of the items available are defined according to your demand versus production, so they can be redistributed and made available to all who need them. These changes will happen progressively, as the new humanoid society on the planet is accommodating to new conditions of coexistence. Your elites do not agree in any way with these new concepts, so the colony of Mars long idealized by them will be a last refuge in an attempt to maintain the same hierarchy that they kept here for several millennia. A resource immensity were diverted from your development so that they execute this dream of continuity on Mars. But in this new phase will be installed on planet Earth, the planet's resources will belong to a whole society and will not be available to finance dreams of greatness of humans disturbed by their egocentrisms. I ask everyone to prepare for the geological and atmospheric changes that the planet will pass this period. Are already going changes that are unlikely to go back to what they were. Crops that hundreds of years are made in certain areas will no longer be possible. The readaptation will have to be fast and well thought out to take effect shorter term possible. Which used to grow wheat probably will grow potatoes, and so on. Adaptability is the strength in these situations of climate radical changes. So be prepared if they have to change your diet and your methods of obtaining food. To the people will not be reserved shelters, the most prepared may be the targets of less prepared. So if things start to get ugly in your region, stay organized in communities where many can help each other and resist this period with their families and friends. The counterweight is already doing little effect. On the distance that it is already, the axis of the planet is in the flavor of the effects of the weakening of the magnetic field of the Sun and the consequent lack of protection of the planets, of the incidence of cosmic rays warming their nuclei and generating greater volcanic activity. We hope that steps can be taken to minimize these effects, but the causes are now in the hands of solar nature, which governs the physics of this solar system together with the natures readapting their planets in this new phase. Remember the big seed banks kept by your elite. The plan for all that was waiting for the planet to stabilize to study where they should replant what. This was always the plan for the big seed banks, funded with economies of all for the good of a few. We can say with certainty that these plans will not work. Not with one of our spacecraft hostiles in each entry of these bunkers. These guidelines we already have. I'll see you all soon. Be all well.